Hello everybody, thank you for tuning in. I am here to show you my thief build, which I have called the Bounding Bastard. Very high survivability, tons of CC break, condition removal, and all around just a whole lot of fun to play. I had some people who were interested in it and wondered how it works, so I made a video, and I'm here to share it all with you. Let's get to the intro. Welcome back, everybody. Let's delve further into this build. We'll start off first with the gear. So one thing that's interesting is I just used two staffs. The short bow can be really valuable to have, but the way this build works is to constantly be regenerating your endurance and your initiative, and one of the ways you can do that is with weapon swapping. And the reason this is so awesome is because right here we have Sigil of Energy on each weapon. So basically every 9 seconds, basically as soon as your weapon recharges up, you swap your weapon again and you have almost a guaranteed dodge right there. Because this is a Daredevil spec, obviously, we're using the staff. 25% almost always is going to get you a guaranteed dodge. So right now, I've been testing out Sigil of Air and Sigil of Fire, so that you can get just a little bit more burst damage, and sometimes it can be really useful. But another acceptable option that I used for the longest time, but you can survive a long time if you played this right anyways, but Sigil of Leeching, I believe that's what it is, right? Yep. Yeah, and you can steal a little health, make you just a little bit more survivable. But I do like this just to occasionally get that extra burst. It can help you win a point, even help in team fights. And this thief can actually be useful in team fights. And it may look kind of strange because this is based off of a critical, obviously, and we have 4% critical hit chance. What the fuck, right? But no. With the Rune of the Daredevil, if you look at the 6th trait for this, your next attack is guaranteed to crit after completing a dodge roll while in combat, which is going to be always. The only thing I can say is this, there's no tooltip for it, but this is a pretty short window. If you dodge and wait even a second and a half, 2 seconds, and you haven't attacked yet, you're not going to get a crit. I don't know what it is. You basically have to dodge and attack right away. I don't know why that is the way it is, but so since we don't need that precision, we're able to pump that into vitality, so you can actually survive for quite a while. This is really good against conditions. You got a pretty good health pool for a thief. We're using the Amulet of the Valkyrie, so we still have great power, and we even have a good amount of ferocity. That's not bad. And basically 100% critical hit chance. There's not too often where you're just going to be doing normal attacks. You're mainly going to be doing your vault all the time, which is why this is called the Bounding Bastard. So there's that quick overview, and we'll get into the meat. So we go Acrobatics, Trickery, and Daredevil. And we'll just go over everything quickly. Obviously, you can't change these. They're not too important, but we'll just show quickly. Gain Swiftness upon dodging, which is always, so you basically have non-stop swiftness all the time. So this is a very, very mobile build. Which makes it really fun. I like being able to be mobile. Lots of times when I'm playing my Guardian, I get really sad because I'm so slow. And this first one here, Pain Response, gives you some condi removal. This is our first condi removal. Well, this is actually really our main condi removal, and this can help you win against Guardians because lots of them are going for burn specs right now. And that'll be the main condition on you if you're fighting a Guardian, and you can get rid of that one condition pretty easily. We also have tons of regeneration with this build too. This is another one that you could choose to use instead, since this isn't a huge condi removal, but I think it's really valuable. I prefer this. Lots of PvP, especially if you're playing in the league right now, is very, very condi based. So gain vigor upon successfully evading attack, which is basically always. And what's really cool about this, so you're gonna get vigor all the time, which means you're going to be able to dodge even more than you already get to dodge all the time. And this right now, the vigor, or the effects of vigor on you are enhanced by 50%. That's a big deal, considering you're going to have this on you all the time. I can't even explain. I'm going to put some sort of gameplay footage in here, and you'll see how much I dodge. And it's just crazy. Along with steal and your weapon swapping, you're pretty much set along with blocking here. We'll go over the skills in a second. So anyways, back on track. Hard to catch, break stun, refill endurance. I'm not sure what the cooldown is on this because it doesn't happen all the time, but that first time someone's like, oh, I'm gonna fuck you up, and you get someone, or like the gravity well, or a guardian lays down their ulti trap, and you'll get this one-time free pass to be like, oh shit, and get out of there. You know, to me, this is invaluable. We don't even use those weapons, so that's useless. You could use this, but we don't really get too much of those conditions, and those aren't too worrisome for me. Confusion kind of sucks, but I don't know. This is definitely your best option there. We already talked about that. And then this one is one of my favorites. Upper hand. Gain initiative and regeneration each time you evade attack, which is basically always if somebody's attacking you. So we're going to have regen all the time. We're constantly going to be getting initiative back. You can already see how this is compounding. And so in the trickery skill line, stealing gets you initiative. Obviously that's great. So you can use this to regenerate some of your initiative. And that's where it can become tricky, because sometimes you want to wait to use your steal for an opportune moment, but sometimes with this build, it's pretty good to use it kind of at the start of a fight, especially if you're going someone against like some sort of bunker build. It's probably going to be a long fight, and you'll get this recharged again, so you can use it a second time. So keep that in mind. Oh, excuse me. I had to burp. Thrill of the Crime is really, to me, the only one that's awesome if you really wanted to be a troll, because of how much you're going to be moving around doing your dodges. You could get caltrops just to annoy people if that's your thing, but you don't have any condition damage really with this build. As you can see, the bleeding's not very intense, so it's just not that useful. I like this, and it can help in team fights, help your allies. Increase your maximum initiative. Obviously that's a good thing, so we can do more vaulting. And I know it's called vault, even though I'm calling it bounding bastard. I have a thing for alliteration. I do love alliteration. It just makes life more exciting, you know? Why call it vaulting bastard? That doesn't sound right. Continue on. Bountiful theft. Stealing grants you and all nearby allies vigor. So this is obviously good for you, because vigor is increased. So you always are going to have vigor on you. It's nuts. And then you can also give it to your allies, allowing them to dodge more and them live longer. We don't have any tricks, so that's not necessary. You're not really going to be interrupting anybody, so this is really your only viable option there. Increase damage and condition damage per initiative spent, so that could kind of feed into this if you wanted to, but it's not going to be a big deal. But this is cool, so the more you vault, the more your initiative goes down, the more it's going to do. There's times I've hit people every once in a while for close to 9k with a vault, and that's a pretty substantial amount of damage. So yeah. So gain initiative on swapping weapons while in combat. So that is another reason why we have double staff, because not only are you getting your endurance back, you are getting back initiative every time you swap, in a pretty substantial amount. 3 initiative isn't a little amount. That usually gets you enough to do another attack. But basically, as soon as your cooldown is done, you want to be swapping weapons all the time. You want to keep an eye on that. Really great stuff. So just tons of initiative, tons of endurance, tons of dodging, some condi removal, pretty good amount when you're getting hit below 75%. And then of course we have the Daredevil, so we can equip our staff, we get that extra dodge. Lots of fun the Daredevil is, and that's what this is right there. Woo, we know that. So here's one where you can kind of choose what you want to do. Brawler's Tenacity. Gain endurance when you first activate a physical skill. So the only physical skill we have is here. And I use it a lot, and this is kind of a way to bridge a gap when you don't have another dodge. When this, it's very rare that it happens that you won't have a dodge, you won't have a weapon swap, you won't have steal, you won't have any way to regenerate any of this. Boom, you can pop this, and by the time it's done, you're gonna have another dodge. Plus, this block is amazing. Really good against Berserker Rangers who are gonna fire their barrage at you, and you can just totally negate that damage that they're trying to get. Yeah, so I love this skill, and then on top of that, afterwards, you can knock them down, interrupt something if they're trying to heal. It doesn't stay there forever, so you want to use it. I'm not really good at timing interrupts for that, so usually I just block and knock them down and then vault on top of them, piss them off. You know, lots of fun stuff. But on top of that, this is going to reduce the cooldown. It's only a 3-second difference if I took this off. Here, watch. We'll take it off. It goes to 15 seconds instead of 12. But still, that 3 seconds can make a huge difference, and this is another way to refill endurance and mitigate damage. Mitigation is key here. But this isn't an option you have to do if you find you're doing really well, which you can. I didn't even use this for a while. For the longest time I was using this. Deal increased damage to enemies within the range threshold. When you're vaulting, you're on top of them, so it's basically a constant 7% damage buff, which is pretty nice. But really, I use this build to distract other people, help in team fights. It's not all that important. I really like to be able to stay alive longer and have people, like, sometimes I'll just kite people around and they're chasing me instead of holding points. You can do this too, cause weakness. Basically, all three of these are viable options. It's really up to you what you want here. Since you basically crit every time you do your major attack, you can always have weakness on them if that's what you would rather have. Heal when you successfully evade attack, which is basically all the time, if you're not seeing this trend already. So this build has so much sustain. Your heal is also a dodge, removes torment. That's why I don't like that other option up here, wherever it was. There was one for torment. I don't remember. Oh man, look at this, wasting time. This, you're not really gonna interrupt foes. I don't even know where I was going with that. That's dumb. But you have more condition removal here. But on top of that, your dodge can remove some of those same conditions too. So people just aren't going to be able to tie you down. You're always dodging. The only thing that's really going to suck is just heavy conditions on you. And if you get caught in some intense guardian traps, that's full power. Those are your two main weaknesses here. To remove a condition whenever you evade an attack, which is all the time. So that's what I was saying. This build has just basically unlimited dodge, unlimited healing, unlimited everything, and it's just so much fun to play. I wouldn't recommend taking either of these other ones. It's really up to you. You can choose, but this is pretty self-explanatory. In PvP, you want that condi removal. Gain endurance when you successfully steal from an enemy, so you gain both initiative and endurance when you're stealing. You also steal boons, you spread boons. It's amazing. It's endurance 50, so that's half of your endurance. So what I'll usually do is I'll go in and I will get a couple attacks in. I will steal to get that endurance back, my initiative, and then continue pounding away. And if I haven't beat them by the time this recharges, which does happen, then yeah. So this isn't a full bursty build. You can definitely output more damage if you were just doing dagger pistol, for instance. There are better damage, but there's nothing quite like this that has the survivability. It's gonna annoy the crap out of your enemies. I've had people send me hate whispers all the time. I don't know what just happened to the mic there. It was a serious stutter. But I mean, just look at this. On top of that, so when you dodge, here, let me get out of here. My little secret spot whenever I'm waiting in queue. Alright. Oh, let's get. Alright, so when you dodge, you can see that unhindered combatant. So it said right there, damage is reduced to you. Right here, minus 10% incoming damage and minus 10% incoming condition duration for 4 seconds. Which is basically going to be all the time, because you're going to be dodging more than every 4 seconds, and it's going to always be on you. Same with your swiftness. Look at, 30 seconds of swiftness already. It's nuts. Tons of mobility, tons of damage mitigation. If you do have condis on you, they're gonna be decreased by 10%. It's nuts. And then on top of that, what I really love about this, so lots of times you'll get those rangers and they have what is it? The binding roots. I think that's what it's called, and it immobilizes you forever, and you're sitting there. And in other builds, I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh no, and you gotta freak out and you gotta target it and then kill it before you can dodge. But with this, someone binding roots you, bap, you're good. And that ranger doesn't know what to do anymore. So this build is just tons of fun. Yeah, the only downside to this build is your damage is constricted to this, which is pretty big. But in lots of places, like, I don't know if I can show you an example here, but you'll be dodging and your camera is just going to get messed up, and it's going to be really hard to place your vault just right. And that's really the only downside to this build is in tight spaces it can become kind of difficult to dodge the way that you want to get your vault on target. But other than that, I can't really think of any downsides. There's no stealth, but you don't really need it, because if someone's messing with you, you can dash away and then you got your shadow step, bloop, and you're basically good at that point. I never really have any problem disengaging, even though I don't have stealth. And another weakness is other thieves that will come after you. Pistol thieves can be really annoying. That's what you got your block for. You basically want to get away from those guys, or if they gank you and come out of nowhere, the best thing to do with a thief, if you don't think you're going to win that fight, is steal from them, use their invisibility. That's the only form of invisibility you have, and just get out of there. But it's very rare that I ever lose to a thief anyways with this build. And one last thing I will show before we try and get to some gameplay is how the crit works. So you basically want to dodge an attack like as soon as your dodge is over, or you're not going to get that crit. And I'll show an example. So right here, dodge, attack. Oh, see, it's still kind of short, but we got the crit there. But if you leave it for just a second and you do it, oh, sometimes, I don't know, it's very strange. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But overall, you could see there we were getting almost 6k without tons of initiative spent on the heavy, which is around 3k armor. Let's see, what are we gonna do with this guy on light armor? And watch the number go up. Oh, basically each time you do it, that number is going to get bigger as your initiative gets spent. And overall, guys, this build is a lot of fun. I'm gonna go find some gameplay footage to put in here for you. If you liked this, please subscribe. I'm gonna leave something in the comments below. I'm gonna try and continue to bring quality content. And I am very new to this, but what I really want to do to the people who will end up supporting me and be viewing my stuff and like it, I want to be giving a giveaway every month, and the way you can sign up for that is just by subscribing on any social platform. The more that you subscribe to, the more you're going to be entered into the pool for drawings. I know this is really early on and I have next to no subscribers, and I don't even know if I'll ever be making good money off of this, but just I get the satisfaction from giving these videos to you, and I hope you enjoyed this build. Tell me how you like it. Maybe you hate it. Maybe you made it better. Tell me what you did. And yeah, that's all I got. So have a good day and enjoy the Bounding Bastard.